Hello and welcome. My name is Jim Swisslockey. I'm the 6th and 7th grade band teacher here at Lamouth Middle School. I started on saxophone way back in 5th grade at Olmsted Falls. I went to Baldwin Wallace for music education, earning my bachelor's degree in 2000. Spent 3 summers in Chicago, earning my master's degree in music education at Vandercook College of Music. And I've been at Lamouth Middle School for the past 21 years teaching band. I'm excited to meet you, and I have a lot of information to share, so we're going to dive right in. Students may choose from 6 different instruments in beginning band. We instruct flute, clarinet, alto saxophone, the trumpet, trombone, and percussion. Percussion includes snare drum and bells. Students interested in playing the drums, or percussion, will need to provide a snare drum and bell combo kit, as well as enroll in weekly professional music lessons throughout the entire 6th grade year. Now, while private lessons are encouraged for everybody, they're only required for percussion. Even if you have Grandpa's trumpet all ready to go, it's been to the shop, cleaned out, ready to play, it'd be a wise idea to make sure that the trumpet is the right fit for your daughter or son. One of the aspects of teaching beginning band that makes me the most sad is to have a student, maybe a trumpet player, who knows all of her fingerings. She can read notes. She performs all the rhythms perfectly, but just can't figure out how to manipulate the different pitches with her lips, or can't hear the different highs and lows. And therefore she just struggles while the rest of her friends around her are progressing. They're playing all the songs really well, and she just gets frustrated. And maybe that leads to quitting, or much worse, a negative experience for the rest of the class as this person acts out because of their frustration on their own instrument. So even if you think you know what they want to play, let's go through this instrument testing process, make sure that they can form the proper embouchure, they know how to hold the instrument, they can get their fingers around it, because some of these instruments are really big, and it's free, it's no fuss, no muss. We're hosting this event at Lamouth Middle School. It would just be a really wise idea at this time to let your child try all the different instruments. The only one we're not going to be testing out is percussion, because as I already mentioned, percussionists are required to enroll in private lessons throughout the school year. So that's something that we're not worried about. If your students are ready to go on percussion and you're going to get them those private lessons, we're not worried about their aptitude at the beginning of this process. Why do percussionists need to take private lessons? That is a very good question, and one worth answering. While nobody else, has to take a private lesson. Again, we encourage everyone to take private lessons. These students will be coming in at all sorts of levels as far as musical background, and private lessons will help the gifted advance and stretch their knowledge, as well as the ones that are struggling to catch up to the rest of their classmates and everybody in between. But percussion is required because in the percussion section, you are learning more than just one instrument. A saxophone player, for instance, is only learning about the saxophone. That's it. Percussion includes, on the basics, snare drum, cymbal, bass drum, bells. You have all these Latin percussion instruments and a whole bunch of other toys and crazy things that they need to learn how to play, that while the stroke is similar on many of them, there's a lot of different techniques to playing each instrument. Not even to mention the drum set and all the crazy ambidextrity you have to play that instrument. Now you may be wondering how the instrument aptitude testing process works. Fabby's is making it easy. They're going to come right here to the Lamouth Middle School band room, and we're going to bring our cleaning supplies, the instruments to try on. Students will have their own reed to try the saxophone and clarinet that we'll immediately dispose of. Students will be washing their hands before and after going to the testing room. There'll be hand sanitizer available to use in between stations. We'll have a flute station, we'll have a reed station for clarinet and saxophone, and we'll have a brass station for the trumpet and trombone. It's a really quick process. We see if they can make a proper embouchure on the different mouthpieces, to make sure those fingers can properly close the tone holes on a clarinet, to make sure that the trombone players can reach 5th and 6th position, just to be sure that at this time you have all the information you need going forward to select a good instrument that your kid could be successful on. Now, if you feel uncomfortable with this process at all, you may opt out. However, if they still want to sign up for band next year, then it's up to you to call Arrowhead, Fab's, or any other local music store and schedule your own individual assessment, so that they can meet with you and your child individually and test you out on all those different instruments and make sure that whether it's the trumpet or flute or saxophone, that they're going to be on the best instrument for them and be successful on it next year. One more thing about opting out: if your child knows right now they want to do choir, because they have to choose between choir and band at the middle school, then you can opt out as well. Whether your girl is going to be the next diva or your son's going to be the next Pavarotti, you don't have to come. However, again, kids change their mind all the time, and maybe your son hears about his buddies. He signs up for choir, but then he hears about all of his buddies in the middle of summer. They've signed up and joined band. What are you going to do? Now he wants to change his mind and join band. Have him test anyway. You can still sign up for choir. There's no, nothing set in stone. So if they test out on all these instruments, they're not required then to sign up for band. This is just an event to make sure that everyone gets a chance to try out the instruments to see if they're interested in being in our band program. Now, how do you get an instrument? Every student needs their own instrument for band at Lamouth Middle School. And there's several ways to get one. You can rent one from a local music store, you can buy one off the internet, or you can reuse one that's handed down through the family or through your friends. Now I'll talk about instruments that are handed down through maybe older brothers or aunts and uncles and grandpas. We'll talk about that separately. But right now I want to talk about the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to rent through your local music store. There's lots of very good reasons to do that. Number one, again, I've mentioned this several times already, children change their minds. If you go out and buy one, it's just like driving a car off the lot, a brand new car. It automatically loses value. And if you buy that instrument right off the bat and your kid decides they don't want to be in band anymore, or they want to switch instruments, well, you're not going to get the same amount of money back that you paid for that puppy brand new. So you want to make sure you rent to own first. And if you rent through a local music store, you're going to get the backing of that instrument. When it needs to be repaired, fixed, they have the parts and pieces that are necessary to fix that instrument and get your child back up and playing as soon as possible. In fact, if you do decide you want to buy that instrument down the line, like they've made it through 6th grade, they really like band, they're looking forward to being in the marching band at high school, well then a lot of our music stores have a rent policy where a lot of the money you spend on the rental will be applied towards your final balance if you decide to buy that instrument. In fact, they even offer a discount too if you decide to pay off the purchase price. All right, so maybe you already have an instrument in the home. Maybe it was handed down through the family, an older brother or sister who graduated, or maybe a grandpa or aunt who had played when they were in school. There's two things to consider. The first thing is this. You're going to want to get that older instrument into the shop. Make sure it's looked over, any pads or springs are replaced, and that it's still playable for your beginner. Okay. The second thing you're going to want to consider is just because you have a trumpet doesn't mean your new 5th grader is a trumpet player. That's why this instrument aptitude testing is so important. No cost, free instrument, it's already been paid for, but if your child is not a trumpet player, that's going to just cause them more frustration and lead to a very bad experience in band, and they might even end up quitting. So we want to make sure that you do those two things. You get that older instrument into the shop, have it looked over like you would any kind of used car before you go out and drive it. The second thing you want to do then is make sure that your child goes through this instrument aptitude testing process and make sure that they will be able to learn that instrument, whether it be trumpet, flute, saxophone, whatever you already have at home. And we would be more than happy to inspect those instruments for you as well at Fabi's or Arrowhead or any of your local music stores. After your child completes the instrument aptitude testing, they'll take home a packet of information for you to look over. The top page will include the evaluation, how they did on each instrument, and what may hinder them as far as their progress in beginning band goes, and whether or not maybe private lessons would be beneficial for your child. The next couple of pages will include rental information from Fabi's and Arrowhead, as well as the different supplies you'll need for each instrument, the different types of brands that have been reliable throughout the last 20 or so years, as well as the private lessons form if your child decides to sign up for percussion. Look this packet over, and if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Please feel free to rewatch any part of this video if you didn't understand something. And if it's still unclear, then email me. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions before this process goes any farther. It's important to understand that band is a serious commitment. It's a financial commitment for you. It's a time commitment for your student. This is a full year class in 6th grade. And it's something where you need to hear them practicing that instrument at home. While we play every day in band, if they're going to be successful, your child needs to be playing that instrument at home. But if they do, oh, the wonderful times we'll have. We perform a concert in the spring, and in normal years, we've performed downtown Cleveland at Cavs games, Monsters hockey games, and and at the GLOW events at the Cleveland Botanical Gardens. So there's a lot of fun to be had as long as that work is put in ahead of time. Again, feel free to contact me with any questions you may have. In the meantime, take care. Have a good night.